Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town. Oh, the butcher and the baker and the people on the streets, where do they go? To meet the Mets! Oh, they're hollering and cheering and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go? To meet the Mets! All the fans are true to the orange and blue, so hurry up and come on down, 'cause we got ourselves a ball club, the Mets of New York town. Give 'em a yell, give 'em a hand, and let 'em know you're rooting in the stand. Come on and meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town, of New York town.
And we are live. How's it going, Mets fans? Thank you all so much to everyone chiming in. I really appreciate it. We are in for another episode here at New York Mets Talk. Myself alongside Richie at Mets Media. He will be here shortly within the next half hour, but I want to start things a little bit earlier to really catch up with everyone and see how they're doing lately, being a dire Mets fan, and just chime in and see what's up with everybody before we really start to get rolling, breaking down how the past series was for the Mets, winning 2-1 in that series against the Rockies. What a great series it was, with the offense still not clicking yet, and also having things go. We'll see what happens with the Cubs. But before I get into anything else, thank you all so much for being here, guys. I appreciate it. And Richie's actually going to be chiming in sooner than I expected, so that's awesome. All right, so give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to just read all your comments quick. Maniac Matt, King Fuego, my man, thank you all so much, members on the channel, for chiming in. I appreciate it. Jeremy, Eisen, Jack, everybody, Sean, Eli, Sam, William, Ernie, thank you all so much for chiming in, guys. This offense is incompetent. Tremont, you're the only one being negative here, my friend. Let's actually wait and see how they're going to wake up, okay? There's always that one bad apple, I swear. Sean, all right, we are here. Yes, you guys are. I appreciate that, guys. So I'm actually going to transition real quick. We're going to get Richie in here, and then we're going to just get rolling with talking about the past series for the Mets, how they fared with the Rockies, our stances on them, and what we should be looking forward to and maybe not looking forward to in the upcoming series against the Cubs starting on Tuesday. Wardy, love you too, Mama Worm. I appreciate that. What's up, Brandon? How's it going? Nate, again, thank you all so much for chiming in, guys. Spare with me 1 second, everybody. I'm going to switch this real quick. Okay, just give me 1 second. William, let them play some games. I know. They haven't played any. They've had 7 of their first, they've only played 11 games. They've had 7 games postponed already. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. That's why you need to make sure they actually have like a dome. We need a retractable dome on top of Citi Field. Maybe one day if Cohen is willing to throw the $300 million or so for it. But let's get Richie in here now, and we are all set like that. Perfect. Richie, what is up? How's it going?
What is good, Tyler? What is up, everybody in the chat? Hope you guys are enjoying this. New York Mets being in first place in the division. I'm excited to get into the past series with the Rockies and previewing the Cubs series coming up.
Yeah, no, me too, for sure. Eric, what's up, my man? Hope I had a good time. I had a fantastic time. Yeah, Richie and I, if you guys don't know, we did go to, Richie came with me to game 3 of the series against the Phillies last week. Would have been game 4, but it got canceled due to rain, unfortunately. And outside of that, I was at for every game of the series. Luckily, the Mets swept them. That was so much fun. I had an absolute blast, and I was fortunate to meet some of you guys there too, so that was really cool. But if you guys did not check out the vlog for that, however, please make sure you do. I have it on the channel. and pinned everywhere for you guys. But again, thanks so much for everyone chiming in. We're going to get rolling here in a second. I see Jack Ghostway. Tomorrow's your birthday. Happy early birthday, Ghostway. Hope you have a great birthday tomorrow. It's the Mets day tomorrow as they play their first game against the Cubs. So hopefully they give you a birthday victory. But hope you have a great birthday, buddy. The Shraken. But Mats knew our catchers made them worse last year. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Shrek, unless you're talking to someone else. I missed that. But again, though, thank you all so much to everyone chiming in, guys. I appreciate that. Please make sure to smash that like and subscribe button if you're just chiming in. But without further ado, Richie, let's just get rolling because you probably saw a little bit more of the Rockies series than I did. I caught plenty, but a lot of it was actually post-game for some of it. So here, let's just get this fixed here real quick. We'll get this banner up, and then I want to know your stance on what had transpired between the Rockies and the Mets. So in a nutshell, Mets win that series 2-1. What's that to you, especially when we go back to the first of the two games in the doubleheader for the Mets?
Yeah, man, there's a lot to get into. And first, I want to say shout out to everybody in the chat. I appreciate you guys welcoming me in. Everyone's saying what's good to Richie, what's good to you guys. And of course, all my Knicks fans in the chat, I see you guys. Knicks are red hot, 6-game winning streak. You already know what's good. But let's get into the Mets, right? So that was a crazy series. Unfortunately, as we know, Friday night got postponed, and we had the doubleheader on Saturday. We got Jacob deGrom on the mound. I actually came out with my series recap video on Mets Media yesterday. So if you guys want to see my in-depth breakdown, make sure you go check out that video. But basically what I said is we saw more brilliance from Jacob deGrom. He was one strikeout shy of tying the great franchise Tom Seaver. He struck out 9 straight batters. It was ridiculous to see Jacob deGrom. It feels like he just continues to get better. Doesn't make sense. It feels like we're looking at him and it's impossible for him to wow us even more, but he just does it every single night. The ability to strike out 14 batters in 6 innings is absolutely insane. And how about the Mets rallying back to get the W for deGrom? Because we were going into the 7th, and unfortunately, we were losing. And me being pessimistic, same old Mets with Jacob deGrom on the mound, I'm like, wow, here we go. We're going to waste another Jacob deGrom start, and we're going to lose the game for him. But what happened? We get 4 straight hits. Can you believe it? I couldn't. I was watching the game.
It felt like a miracle.
So what happened? We got James McCann got the first hit. And then Almora gets the pinch run opportunity at first base. And then Jonathan Villar is the pinch runner. Jonathan Villar rips it down the right field line. Albert Almora scores from first to home. He has a ridiculous slide. Barely grazes the home plate with his pinky.
Yeah,
he perfect slide.
It was
awesome base running from Almora. The speed, the ability to avoid the tag with the slide is amazing. That was tied. And then Brandon Nimmo got on base. And then it was first and third. Francisco Lindor is up, and he finally comes up clutch. And that was his biggest moment as a Met so far. He drives in the go-ahead run. You see Francisco Lindor pumping his chest on his way to first base. Super excited. His enthusiasm is infectious. And we end up winning the game for Jacob deGrom after Edwin Diaz came in and closed the job. That's a very good sign. We also got to see back-to-back closes from Edwin Diaz. So that's a big thing we got to discuss. And then, game 2 of the doubleheader didn't go our way. Joey Lucchese's first start on the mound didn't go well. We're not going to really get into that. It really just was the pitching wasn't there. The hitters wasn't there. It was just an overall nightmare. The only 2 runs we scored was Jeff McNeil, 2 RBI double. And then fast forwarding to yesterday's game, Marcus Stroman is an absolute stud.
Dog.
8 innings pitched.
Dog.
1
This
run.
man. Oh my.
Are you kidding me? The behind the back play, the personality out there, the energy, everything we saw from Marcus Stroman is just absolutely insane. We need to extend this man ASAP. But I don't even know what else to say about Marcus Stroman because he is becoming my favorite player on the Mets for sure. I just really connect to his energy and his will to win and his personality, personality off the field as well. I really connect to him spiritually. Like he's a very centered guy. He meditates on the mound. He says he focuses on his breath work, and I'm very into that stuff. So I connect to Marcus Stroman on that level. And the offense, I forgot to mention, we got a Pete Alonso home run, and then in game 1 with deGrom on the mound. But then how about the way we won the game? James McCann throwing out Trevor Story with a great tag for Francisco Lindor. That was an awesome way to win. We win with defense. Who would have thought? And Francisco Lindor.
I know, right?
Up.
We're not allowed to win with defense. We're the New York Mets, don't you know? It's impossible. But James McCann, with that cannon, McCannon, as everyone likes to call him, drilled him out. And that's something we can expect to see a decent amount of the times throughout the season. That's one of the main things I'm excited for him. McCann, as we know, get back to game 3 against the Phillies, the game that we were at. He had the insurance home run, that 2-run home run to really get things going. And they continued with some highlight reel plays, but this time from the defensive side of the ball, behind the plate, drilling him out to end it. And that was Trevor Story. It's literally the Rockies' best player running, trying to steal second there. To get him out was huge. Lindor was pumped, as he should. But yeah, great breakdown there by Richie. Again, guys, if you want to check out his more thorough breakdown, make sure you do on his channel, of course. Please make sure to smash that like and subscribe button if you guys are just chiming in. We'd love to get to 100 likes by the end of the stream. We will be talking for a while, however, so there's plenty of time to do everything. But thank you all so much. Brendan, my man, King Fuego, again. Dominic, my man, thank you so much for chiming into by LFGM indeed. No, the catcher couldn't frame last year. You're right. Yes, it's completely different. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Defense is key this year. And Luis here, Array with a donation. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate that. Man, when we start hating, we'll be so dangerous. 100%, Luis. Thanks so much for the dono, my friend. I really appreciate that. Let's get some dono hype in here. As always, guys, watching you guys stream like PB&J, that's fine. But okay, so again, yes, the Mets won the first game with DeGrom on the mound. He only pitched 6 innings, but he got 14 Ks. This man has been nothing short of electric. He has close to what ERAs, because he didn't have any earned runs that game either because of the errors that happened from the defensive side of the ball for the Mets. So yes, he gave up a home run technically, but it really doesn't even count. It doesn't affect his ERA, which is great, because when I glanced first, because I wasn't able to catch the whole game, when I saw that happen, I was like, whoa, what? 3 runs on DeGrom? I get it. It's Coors. Okay. Maybe he's a little thrown off, but then I realized, it was because of errors in the end. So regardless, however, DeGrom now on the season has just been electric. If you look at his ERA, I'm trying to pull it up right now. I believe he has a 0.90.
Yeah, I think so.
No, I think that's Stroh.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Stroh. I'm sorry. I think 0.45 for DeGrom.
0.45. Okay. That sounds about right with him. I'm just going to double check real quick.
1-1, but should be 3-0.
Yep, absolutely. You're right. So DeGrom just had another dominant outing, taking advantage of a pretty depleted Rockies lineup. Let's be real here. Outside Trevor Story, they have Tapia, but they don't have too much. McMahon is a solid hitter too, but they're shell what they once were just a couple of years ago. And Blackman too. It's easy to forget about him. But then you go on to the second game. We won't talk about it too much, but yes, Joey Fuego did not have a good first official start as a New York Met. That does suck a little bit just because I just felt for him, honestly, because 1, he's in Coors. I get it. 2, it was a last-minute start because of the doubleheader. He didn't know when he would be starting right. And then 3, he gives up those runs early. And for a guy that's competing to try to stay in this rotation, and with knowing that Carlos Carrasco should be back at some time in May, it does lessen the chances of him staying in this rotation with how well Peterson did the other night when we saw him in Philly. So, again, a lot can change in that time before Cookie's back, but it's unfortunate for Lucchese's situation because I know how badly he wants to be in that rotation, or at least be given more of an opportunity. So it's unfortunate. Jacob Barnes, man, that was a rough one. Barnes gave up more runs than I can even count. That just was not a good look. Again, though, there were a lot of people griping about the Mets bringing in Barnes with a 1-run difference here. And my supposition to that would be, however, we're in a doubleheader. You're going to be using a lot more of your more prominent relievers as we get going in the Cubs series and beyond. You're facing the Rockies. That made perfect sense to have Barnes in my mind. Yes, you could put out a more dominant reliever if you really wanted to, but I understand why they had Barnes in that, and I think some people didn't, honestly, and that was a little surprising to me because a doubleheader, wouldn't you agree, a guy like Barnes you're going to stretch it. Same thing with Gesellman. Gesellman didn't give up a run when he pitched, so that was nice. I'll take that positive for sure, but Barnes got rocked pretty big, and let's also not forget that Barnes was the same guy that was cut. Not cut. He was signed as a free agent this past offseason, just cracked the bullpen, and was with the Angels last year and didn't have all that great of a year. So there isn't a crazy high ceiling with Barnes either, so we shouldn't be all that surprised that he didn't necessarily have the best outing in Coors in a doubleheader, not knowing when he was going to pitch. So I'll just throw that out there. It's not the end of the world. Would have been nice to sweep the series, but then they take the rubber game without the offense, might I add. Brandon Nimmo stepped up big in that series. He didn't get a hit, I don't believe, in the final game, but that's okay. Nimmo has continued to thrive. I want to talk about him a little bit further because he has been such a fun story to watch and follow, not just throughout his career, but especially to start the season. Oh my. But Mets win big. Get that out there at the end when McCann to Lindor, and that's it. Stroman, though, oh my. Stroman between his struts after his Ks, whether it's a looking or a swinging K. He's not a strikeout machine. That's not what you're getting with Marcus Stroman. But what you are getting is brilliance more and more often than I've been seeing him. This outing, he goes 8, only gives up 1 run again. That's perfectly fine in that situation. And he just looks confident as all hell. This does not look like the Stroman that we saw in 2019 after being dealt to the New York Mets. Not at all. I think they're honestly fairly polar opposite. So what's your quick stance on that, Richie? And then I'll get to the comments quick to answer some people.
Wait, my quick stance on Nimmo?
No, not. Well, you can talk about Nimmo, sure, but also just Stroman some more and how different, in my mind, he looks this year versus the last time the Mets saw him pitch in 2019.
Yeah, I mean, Marcus Stroman's on another level, and we knew all throughout last year, he opted out, obviously. He came into camp with a calf strain, and then he opted out due to COVID. And he said that he put so much time in the off season. He had so much time to work on his mind and his mentality and his self. He really prioritizes his way of life. And I feel like we're seeing it on full display on the field. We're seeing Marcus Stroman evolve his game to another level. We know that he's done this before in Toronto, but when he came to the Mets, we didn't really see a consistent Stroman, so we didn't know which type of Stroman we're getting this year. And he's just masterful out there. And it's so unique because when you go from Jacob deGrom to Marcus Stroman, they're two completely different types of pitchers. As we know, deGrom is a strikeout machine. His whiff rate's ridiculous, but Stroman is a ground ball machine. He makes people ground out into soft grounders, double plays, and he's an athletic freak on the mound, going to be a Gold Glover again, probably. And it's just masterful what he's doing out there. His personality and his struts out there, and it's just infectious, man. Him and Francisco Lindor, I just love both of their personalities on the field. They have the passion. They have the will to win. And when it comes to Marcus Stroman, he looks like he is going to be up there with, it's so early in the season. Anything can happen. But it's only 3 starts in, technically 4 if you want to count the rain out. But if he can continue this, he's on pace to be getting a big bag in the offseason, whether it's from the Mets or not. And he knows that. He knows that he's going to be, hitting the free agent market. This is his contract year, so he's trying to get that long-term deal, whether it's with the Mets or elsewhere. But what Marcus Stroman has the biggest thing that stood out to me is, as we know, he talks a lot. He's very overly confident in himself in the media. A lot of people can be very cocky and confident to themselves, but he's cocky and confident publicly. Like he's to Mets fans, to MLB, like we all know Stroman as a very confident individual. And what he's doing, and he's backing it up. Like he's on the mound, backing it up each and every start. Like he's not just going out there and being okay. And he's like, yeah, I just have a cool mentality and I'll be good. But he is dominating out there. And I just love everything about him. He honestly is becoming my favorite Met on the team. And that's hard to do because there's so many fan favorites on this entire squad. But everything about Stroman, whether it's his personality, his energy, his changing up the rhythm on the mound, even striking people out, which is good to see. He had 5 Ks, which is a lot for Stroman. And man, it just feels good to have Marcus Stroman on the mound dominating this much, knowing that we still have Noah Syndergaard coming back and Carlos Carrasco. And we see what Walker's doing. We saw David Peterson up close and personal in his bounce back game against Phillies, and he looked absolutely lights out. So just imagine what this rotation is going to be like when we get all healthy. Mets fans should be excited.
Yeah, I think that's a great point too, Richie, because Stroh is on pace now. Now, granted, do I think he's going to be Cy Young winner this year? No. And that was something that we talked about going into the season. But if this guy can pitch to a sub-3 ERA, which seems like it could very well be doable, or 3.5 pushing it, anything along those lines is more than enough, in my opinion, to get the job done. And you're right, he is due for a big payday. And Stroman is a guy that is not really talked about much at all when you're thinking extension talks. When you think extension, you think of exactly who is it going to be, whether it's going to be Conforto or it's going to be Syndergaard, right? Stroh really doesn't get talked about that much. And he has something to prove this year, not just for himself, but for the Mets and how much they should value him past the season. And the same thing also goes with if he does, in fact, hit free agency. If he can't come to agreement with the Mets on, say, maybe he's looking for a long-term deal or something along those lines, right? Because he's still in the prime of his career, 28 years of age. So this is big. This is absolutely big for him. And I'm just loving the opportunities that he's taking advantage of early here through the first 3. You could say 4 games, but I really won't say 4 games because it was only like an inning and a half, right? So that is my stance on Stroh in a nutshell. Has a 0.9 ERA thus far, 11 Ks on the year. And the Mets rotation currently, and I know that they had 7 games postponed, but it's currently the best in baseball. So, hey, I'll take that. I'll take that through the first couple weeks of the season, even with postponements and all, right? That's, I mean, you can't go wrong there with a team that you're worrying about. How are they going to do without Cookie? How are they going to do without Thor? They added the proper depth, and it is all starting to show and round out. Taijuan Walker is pretty damn good. It's nice that we're noticing that right from the jump, and he will be on the bump also for the Mets in the Cubs game starting Tuesday, so we'll talk about that soon. But again, guys, a lot to be excited about. The Mets, while the offense has still not been there, they're not clicking yet. Lindor has openly said
that's the scary part.
That is the biggest scary part about all this. They were not even gelled yet.
A good scary part.
My point exactly. Literally, I can only imagine what they're going to be once they're fully locked and loaded. Everyone's on the same page. But Dominic says here, I just want to read his comment quick. You two guys have a great YouTube. Thank you so much. Do you think maybe a radio station picks your show up to jumpstart what you two deserve? Oh, you're too kind, Dom. Thank you so much. But again, Dom is an absolute G. If you guys don't know, a lovely member here on the channel. Thanks, a bunch Dom. Of the stuff that you see on the wall behind me, including the signed Endy Chavez catch from 06 right there. He sent that. He's sent so many things. An absolute G. Love you, buddy. Wow. Appreciate that. But yeah, no, we'll see. We'll see what happens. That's why we're building our platforms here, and we love interacting with you guys so much. But yeah, no, that's the biggest thing, right? And I will just say this to all my Conforto haters out there: suck it. Suck a fat one. And I'm joking, obviously. But seriously, Conforto finally started to break out in this Rocky series, and that finally gets some damn closure. Seriously, you know, like he went, 0 for 18, and they finally snapped it in Colorado. Makes sense, because if you're going to start heading anywhere, perfect place to kind of get a groove going is in Colorado. That's what he did. I'll take that. He had a nice catch. Nimmo continued to thrive. And I want to also talk about Brandon Nimmo some more, because this is a guy I probably will do an individual video on sooner rather than later. But let's just take a look at Brandon Nimmo's stats, even while going 0 for 3 in his last game. 447 average, 4 RBIs on the season. What's that?
He got a hit yesterday.
Oh, maybe he just had one hit then.
His last at bat. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sure, like Gary's like, oh, Nimmo's not on base. And like, that's a headline. And then he gets a base hit.
Oh, okay. You're right. I forgot about it. So 2 stolen bases, an OPS of over 1,000 still. And let's just count without you looking. Do you know how much walks he has?
No.
Okay. All right. Why don't you take a guess?
Okay. Well, how many games have we played? Like 11?
He's played 11 games.
Okay, 11 games. I'm going to give him 11 walks.
Okay, close. He has 8 walks.
Damn.
8 walks. That's still nuts, though. That's nuts.
That is nuts.
Nimmo in 55 games last year at 18 walks. To put things in perspective. He's been on fire. Absolute fire. And another thing that people don't seem to be realizing is Francisco Lindor. Yes, he's had a slow start to the plate a little bit, even though he did have that clutch hit, obviously, in the first game of the doubleheader. His second RBI in the season hasn't met, but his first like true one, like legit game winner to get them that 4-3 lead. Lindor is batting still under 200 on the season, but I'm almost certain, I'm going to double check right here. Yeah, Lindor also has 8 walks on the season array too. So he's getting on base plenty, whether it's from the walk rates or simply, unfortunately, grinding into a double play, but it's not a double play. They get the force out at second. Either way, he's still making things happen. We all know that with the glove, but you're right, though. This lineup has not even clicked yet. So what are you most excited for, and that maybe we could see in this Cubs series that we're going to break down here in a few moments?
Yeah, I mean, the lineup hasn't clicked yet. And Lindor said it himself. The only person that's been consistently great at the plate is Brandon Nimmo. So just wait until Francisco Lindor gets going. I mean, we saw what he can do in spring, and we saw what he can do in Cleveland his entire career. He's destined to break out and get scorching hot. It's just a matter of time. I'm not worried about that. It's good to see Michael Conforto get some hits, because we know how great of a hitter he is. Last year, a very small sample size, very shortened season, but Michael Conforto led the Mets in average. So he was the best hitter last year if you look at the statistics. And Jeff McNeil is another guy who's been struggling all year, and we know how great of a hitter he is. It's just a matter of time until he starts to get going. Pete Alonso, he's been getting better and better as the season progresses. He has 2 home runs on the year. He had a couple hits throughout the series. and that's a pivotal spot at the 4-hole. JD Davis is back. He's going to start getting into rhythm. We know his persona on the plate. We know that he can bring in runs. In his first game back, he had a hit. James McCann, we saw his nuke of a home run, first home run as a New York Met. It's just a matter of time, and I feel like it's going to happen eventually. And when the offense starts clicking and starts supporting this stellar staff that we have at the starting rotation, it's going to be fun to watch. I think the only two issues, not really issues, but something that we have to continue to look at is defense and the bullpen. I think those two things, and I guess right now, runners in scoring position, driving those guys in, because we still haven't done that on a consistent basis. The defense has been good so far. It hasn't been something that we're worried about, but at the same time, how long is it going to last? We saw Jeff McNeil make a couple of errors. We saw Mike Conforto misread a play off the wall. Brandon Nimmo's been holding his own in center field so far. He's definitely not a liability yet. Dom Smith in left field, who knows how long he's going to be out there until he makes a big mistake where he gets into a big question mark. We know that this Mets team isn't defensively all there. So that's what we have to look at, is how is the defense going to hold up all throughout the season? And is the bullpen going to start getting better? With Lugo coming back, is Castro going to continue his play? Is Edwin Diaz going to get lights out? Because his last two performances were stellar.
Sugar baby. He honestly needs a more intimidating nickname, because between his walk up with the trumpets and everything, when Diaz is on, he is so intimidating. So intimidating, honestly. Exactly.
But yeah, man, just wait till this offense clicks. We see it on paper. I feel like the Mets have always been great on paper, but they can never really put it together, and especially in the last couple of seasons. So now that we have all the talent, it's just a matter of when they start clicking, because we know Brandon Nimmo gets on base almost every single at bat. So when Francisco Lindor can start getting hot, he hasn't even hit a home run yet. He had 4 homers in spring training. I know spring training you can't really relate to, but still. I just feel like, Dom Smith, he's been good, but he hasn't been that consistent bat that he was last year. I think he's destined to become an elite hitter eventually, and it's just a matter of time.
He looks... I also want to say shout out to Kane Fuego for the donation. Thank you so much, my friend. Have a great night. LVGM, you're always so positive. Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate that. Lovely member here on the channel. Again, thank you all so much to everyone chiming in, guys. I appreciate it. If you are just doing that, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. Help us get a 7K subs for here on WardyNYM. Trust me, you won't regret it. We have so many streams, including every single game against the Cubs this week. Stay tuned for that, guys, starting tomorrow. And also make sure to subscribe at my man at METS Media. Richie, he's doing great content there. He's going to be doing plenty of game recaps and a lot of other things throughout the season, so stay tuned. But also, I want to add in here, and I'm trying to think what your final talking point was, because I had something to say. Do you remember Dom Smith? Yes. Dom looks comfortable in the 3-hole. I like Dom in the 3-hole. I like that a lot. I think that's actually a recipe for success. Conforto, look, he's been in the 5 spot. He was in yesterday's game, I believe. Conforto's had the best numbers in his career in the 5 spot. And now we're seeing him thrive in Colorado and the 5 spot. Coincidence? I think not. I think 5 spot is probably the best spot for him. I like Dom in 3-hole. I know that's a little lefty front loaded with Nimmo, Lindor, who switched. Don't get me wrong, but he's batting lefty more often than not, because you're normally facing more righty pitchers. Dom in there, and then you're going to have Big Meat Pete there at 4, and then you're going to have Conforto at 5, and then so on, McNeil, and so on and so forth. But I like that lineup a lot. I really do. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Luis Guillorme, Jonathan VR, these guys, these depth guys, even Almora with the base running. Like, these are the exact kind of depth moves that, for the most part, the Met and Kevin Pillar, we haven't even seen much of him yet. Like,
Jonathan VR deserves a lot of credit, hitting-wise, clutch
Jonathan VR was low-key the player of the past week. Seriously, between the Phillies series, getting the walk-off, I was there for that. That was so much fun. And he had got another walk-off here, close to a walk-off, and getting the hit to then get Almora home. A lot of things have been going right for Jonathan VR after having, needless to say, not a good spring. So I was really happy to see that. Guillorme's looking really solid. He's still hitting, when a guy that you're not expecting really to hit much. If he can hit, that's great. Defensively, you know where you're getting. You're getting a wizard in that infield that can be flexible with his versatility. Kevin Pillar, Almora Jr. for help defensively, layering the games in the outfield and the corners. They have a lot of options. And for all the people that are griping that, oh, these are such Sandy Alderson moves, these are such this, these are such that. I mean, come on. This is why you build a bench that has the potential to be one of the deepest teams in baseball. This is 1,000% what you do. So I'm really happy that we're seeing them thrive early. for the Mets. I don't know about you. I that's just one thing that's really been standing out to me.
I mean, a ball club, you need to have depth, and we're proving that the moves that were made from Sandy Alderson and everybody in the Mets front office are paying off, because we got our first injury of the season with JD Davis, and luckily he's back right now. It was not a long-term injury, but Jonathan Villar and Luis Guillorme stepped in and did very well. Defensively, they were okay. VR made an error once and Gourmet made an error, but you can't expect him to be 100% spectacular. But at the plate, they're both playing very well. And VR is a clutch player at the plate. And we need somebody off the bench that's going to come in crucial moments, especially when the pinch hitter comes in, because we know we're in the National League. There's no DH. So late in the game, 8th inning, we have to, get a pinch hitter in the 9th spot. Jonathan VR, plug him in. There's a man on 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs, and we're down by 1. I have confidence in Jonathan VR to get a hit. We saw him do that twice so far this season, so he has the clutch gene. That's very important because we know this Mets team struggles with runners in scoring position. So I love what I'm seeing from VR. Kevin Pillar, he's doing okay. He hasn't really wowed me yet, or VR, excuse me. And Guillorme, I just love his pesky attitude at the plate with his old school way of batting with no gloves. I feel like he just works every single at bat. He drives the pitch count up, foul ball. He stays alive. He just looks like a very awesome ball player that I can just root for. So yeah, the depth on the position players has been looking so far so good for the Mets.
Absolutely, man. And again, thanks so much to all my Mets fans chiming in and baseball fans. I appreciate that. AB, I know your Yanks aren't doing too well, but hey, it's early in the season. Maybe it's a good thing you guys are off to a slow start. Just want to throw that in there. But again, Mets fans, thank you all so much. So we really kind of wrapped up everything regarding the Rockies series. Again, it wasn't the most mind-blowing one. It wasn't a dominant one where normally when you head into Coors, you have the idea, the big sluggers, Pete's going to hit like 5 bombs a game. No, that didn't happen. He did get a monster home run to the left side. I will say that, however. And overall, the Mets just did what they had to do. They won the series, and that's what you need to do here because you're not going to sweep every series, don't get me wrong, even against bottom feeders teams in the league, all right? So series wins are going to be crucial to the Mets getting where they want to be and really trying to win this division this year. The Braves had a dominant win again yesterday against, against the Cubs. And go figure, now the Mets will be facing off against the Cubs. So I really think that's a segue.
Dude,
Let's talk about it.
Bro. Acuna he's going to win MVP. I mean, if he continues.
I mean, he's day-to-day with injury right now, so maybe he might go off a bit. Yeah.
Dude, I can't believe what he's doing. 7 home runs already? What?
You could tell, though, he's a little out there. We have a big donation also from the Shraken. A member, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate that. Leiter out, Jack Leiter, who's Al Leiter's son. Seems like beast. Please get him drafted. I mean, the Mets probably aren't going to get him. He's going to be a top 5 pick easily. It won't follow the Mets, but yes,
Jack Leiter. We have in the draft. Yeah.
You know what? That's a good question. We don't have top 5 though. I think what are we? Are we 9 or 10? I honestly don't recall. I'd have to double check, but the Mets do not have a top 5 pick by any stretch of the imagination. And Jack Leiter is a stud. He actually got worked his last outing, which was funny. And we'll see if that helps opposing teams' chances that are trying to get him maybe a little bit out of where he's predicted to go in the 2nd or the 3rd spot. But he's amazing. All hats off to him. Don't know hype indeed. But yeah, so let's segue now, shall we, to this upcoming series. And I tweeted out my buddy who's a Phillies fan. I told you about him. Goes to Purdue. He's going to the Mets game on Wednesday in Wrigley. He won't even buy my ticket to go out there. It's so rude of him to do that as a Phillies fan. He's just rubbing it in my face. But again, this is going to be a fun series for the Mets. They have some good matchups. I like what I'm seeing. I'm really, really excited to be streaming the next 3 games for them. So let's switch here. We'll get the banner in here. So before we get into anything, what is your initial thoughts when you think of what the Mets could do in this Cup series before we get into the numbers or anything fancy like that?
Yeah, I mean, we got to win the series. It's that simple. We don't need to sweep them. We need to win 2 of 3. I mean, that shouldn't be too out of the stretch of the imagination. The Cubs are 3 games under 500 or 2 games under, something like that.
They're 6-9 currently.
Yeah, so the first matchup is going to be Walker versus Arrieta, and that's going to be interesting. And then we got Walker. Excuse me. Then we got Peterson and then Jacob deGrom. So those are the pitchers, right? deGrom is supposed to pitch the 3rd game because we have a day off today.
Yeah, and that's nuts too. I feel like deGrom, it's going to be how many games? So it feels like it's going to be a couple days, like DeGrom, not a normal rest. That might even be the case. But yeah, so it's going to be Walker game 1, Pearson game 2 against Zach Davies, and then it'll be DeGrom versus Williams, the pitcher for the Cubs.
So I really think we should expect a series win. Like if we really want to be, staying at the top of the NL East all season long, which is not going to happen all season. Well, obviously it's a very long MLB season, but we need to win this series. The Chicago Cubs is always a team that plays us hard. We've always historically play well in Wrigley Field. If I can really just remember the past couple seasons, I always just think of that series sweep in the NLCS in 2015 when I think of Wrigley. But yeah, man, I think I feel like I said this going into the Colorado series, but this needs to be the series where the bats start to click. I want to see us, not rely on the starting pitching too much because I don't like these wins. I mean, you can't complain with a W, right? But I don't like these 2-1 victories, 3-2 victories. I want to see our offense start scoring some runs. Let's see 5+ runs. Is that too much to ask for? Like if you look at on the lineup, it should not be too much to ask for 5 runs in a game, especially like later on. We should light up their bullpen. I don't think they have a really good bullpen. So we need to win 2 of 3.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is a very doable series for the Mets. And the bats didn't click in Colorado. So will they start clicking in Chicago? I hope so, because
the biggest factor too, we haven't been playing a lot of games, and that's a big problem. Like we got to give them time. And I feel like if we can stay healthy, I feel like people don't want to hear this because it's a little too far in advance, but I feel like June is usually the historical really bad month for the Mets. But I feel like this year, June is going to be a very good month, especially if we're all healthy and Syndergaard comes back and our offense has 2 months to finally start to get used to him. And obviously, hopefully we don't have any more cancellations. I feel like that's going to be the month where we really take flight. But it's just hard to see this offense click. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm being hopeful. Like, yeah, come on, let's offense click now. We haven't seen this team play every day for like 6 games in a row. And that's what baseball is all about. They're a creature of habit. They're used to playing every day. And Francisco Lindor said recently he feels like it's spring training, like they're not in a rhythm. And that's unfortunate. So hopefully they can get into a routine after this Cubs series and they can start driving runners in, especially hitting the long ball too. I feel like we're not hitting a lot of home runs.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Rhythm is key to everything, and even a bolder take for you. I don't think the Mets will go 1 month this season below 500. That is my bold take. So June, I think will be positive. We'll see how positive, but I think every month for the Mets will be eventful. Whether it's, a game above 500 or multiple games per month, we'll see. But what really stands out to me about this series let's look at the Cubs side of things. So what are their negatives? It's their rotation. The Cubs do not have a deep rotation. They trade away Cy Young nominee in the NL, Yu Darvish, this past offseason for literally nothing. Zach Davies was the only prominent player currently on a roster spot the other way. Davies, who spent his time in the career with, I believe, the Brewers, was with the Cardinals as well. He's a serviceable back of the rotation type pitcher who's
like a 5-year-old.
He looks, yeah, I know. He looks very young still. I saw him pitch years ago for the Cardinals, and he's solid. He's serviceable, but it's nothing that the Mets can't really try to execute on. If the Mets can jump on Wheeler and Nola the way they did, I feel fairly confident they can try to jump on Davies. We'll see what happens, though. Baseball's so fluky, especially early in the year, but I like their odds against him. Arrieta is really interesting because Arrieta really decided to get his off-speed stuff back and in command with the Cubs. He's been dealing with injuries during his time with the Phillies. Looked like he was basically kind of washed and done in his career. And now he's refound himself in Chicago, no less. It's kind of bizarre, but, he was a Cy Young Award winner 5-6 years ago with the Cubs, and now he's rekindling some of that with them. Has just over 3 ERA on the year. But the rotation just isn't deep. It isn't whatsoever. Kyle Hendricks, who's their ace, got lit up against the Braves. And, if Hendricks is getting lit up and the Mets don't even face Hendricks, I like their chances against this rotation to get them working early. Hopefully no single pitcher goes more than 5 innings in the series for the Cubs side of things. But the bullpen has been struggling too. But the headers have been really on and off. And the biggest bright spot for the Cubs is future New York Mets third baseman and Chris Bryant. He's batting right over 270 right now on the season, or right around 270, 265 actually to be exact. 5 home runs, 10 RBIs array for Bryant. So he's looked really impressive early. He's off to a hot start.
And Rizzo had 2 home runs yesterday.
Yes, he did. And that's what he's known for. Rizzo's a big slugger too, but Rizzo, what separates him from a guy like Kyle Schwarber, who's now with the Nationals, is he's not nearly as one-dimensional. Rizzo, when healthy, is normally a very consistent hitter. He will bat way above his weight. He'll normally even push, we're getting into the 275 to 280s plus his average. He's normally pretty damn good. The on-base has been low for them, though, this core group the past couple of years. But I will say that when you have Javi Baez, Chris Bryant, Wilson Contreras, and Rizzo, they can always make damage. You cannot underestimate them and those core 4, always. And then they have some other solid hitters as well, whether it be guys like Ian Happ, and even to extent Bodie. They have some others, but Wilson Contreras has 5 home runs on the year already. Javi Baez, who's so much fun to watch. He's kind of like, he's very similar to Francisco Lindor in a lot of ways, just isn't as good of an overall player. He's not bad at all, but he lacks on base, and he's been struggling at the plate the past year and a half, but went on. Javi Baez is still a very good player. He really swings a lot. He has 4 home runs, 12 RBIs on the season. And then we get Anthony Rizzo. Rizzo currently has 3 RBIs, 3 home runs, 4 RBIs. So their core is off to a decent start, but the pitching could ultimately be their downfall here. Brian is so overrated, says a Cubs fan. I mean, look, Brian, I think, is going to thrive in a change of scenery. Whether that's with the Mets or a different team, we'll see. I'm just joking about Brian right now because that's all he was connected with the Mets all offseason. I talked about him more than I should have, honestly, if for nothing. So that was kind of going with the Brian thing. But yeah, in a nutshell, the Mets have a really good chance to execute here. The pitching will be an issue for the Cubs all throughout the season. And the Cubs are such a bizarre team in my mind because they went from, they got rid of Yu Darvish. They got rid of, they didn't just get rid of Yu Darvish. They also got rid of Kyle Schwarber. They got Jock Pearson, who, don't get me wrong, is very good. He's honestly an upgrade over Schwarber in my mind. But 2 guys that aren't too defensively sound, pull happy guys, lefty hitters. But they don't have a lot there. And they haven't committed to a rebuild because they still feel that they can really contend in this division. But I don't see how they view themselves better than the Brewers and the Cubs. I mean, the Cardinals. I really don't. So what guy do you think from the Mets side of things will blossom the most in this upcoming three-game stint against the Chicago Cubs?
Who will thrive on the Mets?
Yeah, what guy are you looking out for in particular to really execute? Whether that's from an offensive standpoint and even from a pitching standpoint. You can pick one of each.
Yeah, so I think pitchers wise, if I had to pick one guy out of the 3 starters, I want to see Peterson have another stellar performance. We know what we're getting from DeGrom. We can't expect DeGrom to put up zeros every single start. So if he gives up 2 runs in 6 innings, it's not the end of the world for me personally, even though we expect him to put up zeros because he's that great. Walker is another guy I'm looking out for, but I don't know. Peterson, I was so high on him as a rookie last year, and I really feel like he has so much potential, former first-round pick, and his first start obviously did not go well. He got lit up in the first inning, then he kind of calmed down, and then we saw him in his second start be absolutely dominant. So
10 Ks
in 6 innings.
6. Yep.
And we got an up-close personal view of that. So I'm really curious, was that a fluke for David Peterson, or is he going to be starting to calm down and do that on a consistent basis? I think that's a really big question, and I'm really curious to see what David Peterson could do against this, very underrated Chicago Cubs offensive team. And when it comes to, position players, I want to see Francisco Lindor. I feel like it's a very typical answer, but he has not found his rhythm at the plate yet. Just because we're expecting him to be, out of the world great with the money he got. It's not like he's not doing anything. He had the game-winning hit the other day, and he's doing his thing defensively. I mean, the tag to end the game yesterday, that was a phenomenal throw from McCann, obviously, but without Lindor's speedy tag, Trevor Story would have been safe, and who would have known what happened next with Blackmon at the plate with Trevor Story in scoring position. So I want to see Francisco Lindor have a very good series. Like, I want to see him get 4 hits in 3 games and maybe get his first home run as a Met. Like, I want to see him start to break out because he's such a pivotal part of this lineup. Nimmo gets on base all the time. So if Francisco Lindor can get hot and he can start hitting home runs, start getting those extra base hits, his offense going to go to another level. So the 2 players I'm looking out for is Francisco Lindor and David Peterson.
Yeah, no, those are great picks. I think Lindor is destined to break out sooner than later, right? I'm going to stick with also WardyNYM. I think he's going to continue to thrive, and I'm not saying that just because of the trend. I love his matchups in this upcoming series. NYM normally does well in Wrigley from everything that I recall, and I really think he's going to be such a pain in the neck for this series in particular. But I really like NYM's chances, and I also tend to really like Alonso's chances to an extent. I think he's going to start demolishing the relief pitching because I don't see many of these pitchers going too deep into games. Again, this is without jinxing anything, knock on wood, guys. Let's be realistic here, because if we take a look at how the Cubs have done, I'm not sure if you actually knew this. So the Cubs, their last game against the Braves, they lost 13-4. Guess what the score was in their game the day before against the Braves?
What?
13-4, but they won. That's weird.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure I heard Gary on the SNY broadcast saying the Cubs have averaged like two runs per game, and then they broke out and had 13 runs. So they're not doing good scoring runs wise this season. Besides that one game,
and they've been costing up runs when they so far this season through the handful of games that they have played. All their losses have been major. If you look at their first loss of the season, they lost by 5 runs. Their second loss, they lost by 4 runs. Then 4 runs again. Next game that they lost to the Pirates, they lost by 8 runs to Pittsburgh.
Then they lost. Let's do that. Let's win. I know,
but look at the trend here in their losses: 8-run loss, giving up 8 runs, I should say. 7-run loss, 6-run loss, 7-run loss, 5-run loss, 13-run loss. This team is giving up runs left and right. They're throwing them out like candy. You just got to go and grab it. That's what the Mets need to do this series. They need to go out and grab it, get to the pitching early. Same thing that we talked about even in the Phillies series with Matt Moore and Chase Anderson. I'm sorry, but these guys are bums. It's early in the season. They're not in a rhythm. Okay, I perfectly understand it. If you're not jumping on them, you're probably not in a rhythm, to be quite frank. And the Mets haven't been yet. But thank God the Mets have the pitching like they normally do, at least for the most part. Last year they didn't. We know that. But this year is such a different story. And oh my, David Pearson, it will probably be the biggest X factor in my mind in the series. I expect Walker to have a good outing tomorrow, God willing. Hopefully he can go another 6, right? Give up no more than 2 runs. I think that's another very solid inning for Walker. Outing, what you're expecting out of him, right? Anything bigger than that is beautiful. Cherry on top. Peterson, however, will be a big matchup against Yvette and Davies, who still knows how to get the job done. He's still young in his mid-20s, or maybe getting towards his later 20s now. I don't know his age off the top of my head. But the DeGrom start, you need to step up for DeGrom. Jake has a hit in basically every single outing he's had this season. He's insane. He's absolutely nuts. And yet he just got his first damn win in Colorado after losing, because the Mets finally clutched up and got a run by a single pulled in between the shift by Lindor. The luckiest damn RBI you're going to get to win a game. So luck has not been on the Mets side. It has finally started to trickle that way. So I'm optimistic. I do think the Mets will win this series, God willing that they do. It's not the end of the world if they don't, of course, but I do very much like their chances. This is a breakout series, just like Justin Levin, or Levine, however you pronounce your name, my friend, said it best here in the chat, who's a Jets fan. So there you go, Richie. You got a Jets fan in there representing. But again, thank you all so much to everyone chiming in. I appreciate that. Adrian, how's it going, my friend? Jeremy, Al, what's up, my man? Elf GM, indeed. Brennan, who do I think will have the next home run? That's a great question. I'll let you start with that one first.
Lindor,
you think Lindor hits the next home run for the Mets?
His first at bat tomorrow, home run with NYM on base, 2-run homer.
Okay. My next home run for the Mets in my mind, JD Davis. JD already got a hit. He looks like he's going to get in a groove fairly quick. It's easy to forget about JD after being on the IL for the 10 days to start the season. He had a hit or two during the past couple games for the Mets. Now that he's back, JD can hit. He can hit pretty damn good. So, the biggest gripe with him has always been about his defense. But hey, the guy can hit. That's never been an issue with him. 2019 really was an issue because of not having Chili Davis as well. Same thing with Pete, but I'm picking JD Davis just as a fun pick for sure. And now let's take also look at, that's a great comment I saw there about Jeff McNeil. He's primed to break out. He is. McNeil's analytics are flawless right now. He's doing everything but hitting. He's just getting unlucky. The hard contact is through the roof. He's getting into some really awkward situations. McNeil is destined to break out too. So just wait until you have a lineup. Like, just think about this. You have Pete Alonso. Pete can bat 250 plus. Is not swinging at he's swinging a little bit more than expected early, but he's not chasing everything left and right. He's struggling a little bit with the high fastball. That's something that he will always have to deal with. But outside of that there has been too much of an issue. I really like what I'm seeing from him. Dom, you have so many guys in this lineup that have potential to be batting 275 to 300. Basically everyone in this lineup. So how does that make you feel? And when do you think that they are going to finally fully click? Do you think it's going to happen still in the month of April? Do you think it's going to happen early, mid-May? Give me an idea, because I'm just curious from your standpoint, Richie. What is a realistic time frame us Mets fans should maybe expect for them to really kind of get in a groove here?
I think early May, mid-May would be realistic. We can't expect them, obviously I'm hopeful and I'm like, yeah, let's go. Mets offense is going to click this series. That's just me being hopeful and wanting that to happen. It's just destined to happen. When we called in to Moose and Maggie in the car, the WFAN.
Oh, yes, guys, we did do that. If you don't know, guys, we did. That was a lot of fun. I have it on my Twitter. Same thing on Mets Media's Twitter. You reposted it. Yeah. What was it on Friday when it got rained out? We're chilling in the car. Richie called in and Moose and Maggie on the fan, and they actually answered. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I asked them. I'm like, hey, because Wardy and I are big Conforto fans, and obviously he's been struggling this season. And I said, hey, Moose and Maggie, I got a YouTube channel. I'm hyping up Conforto, and he's struggling right now. Like, when do you guys expect Michael Conforto to start hitting again? Because we know it's destined to happen. And then both Moose and Maggie said, hey, it's just a matter of time. We know how great of a hitter Conforto is. This is not going to, last the entire season. And that goes for the entire offense in general, not just Conforto. We know the talent's there. We see McNeil struggling. We know that's not going to last. And McNeil's struggles is not even him striking out. He's hitting the ball hard. He's getting unlucky. He's just hitting it right into the glove of these players in the outfield and in the infield. It's unfortunate. So it's just really unfortunate that this Mets team is not clicking offensively. And I think a big factor is us being, missing out on all these games with the weather and the COVID issues. And I think a realistic way to think about it is early May, mid-May, because we got a couple weeks left in April. And if there's any day I want the Mets to score damn runs, it's every fifth day Jacob deGrom's on the mound, because that guy deserves it, if anybody else. Marcus Stroman, I love you. He's 3-0. deGrom, lower ERA, 1-1. That's unacceptable. It's just so unfortunate. I don't want to go on a whole rant right now, but it just breaks my heart every time deGrom's out. And every Mets fan feels this way. It's just it sucks. It sucks the life out of you when you see deGrom go out there and pitch. The game I was at, his home debut this year, I witnessed Jacob deGrom pitch 8 innings, give up 1 run, and get a loss. Oh my God, that makes me want to punch myself in the face. So let's hope that doesn't happen again, because this Mets offense is way too damn talented to ever let that happen again. So to answer your question, I think they're really going to start clicking in mid-May, but then trust me, I know historically the Mets in June has been a nightmare, but I'm calling it. This June is going to be a very good month for the New York Mets. That's when the Mets are going to completely start clicking offensively. But in May, we're going to see it start to come together. But June is where it just unloads.
I love the optimism. I think this is going to be a very eventful summer for the Mets. I think this is going to be a summer for us Mets fans to remember. Something that I'm also itching at, because I hate spring. It's not just my allergies are driving me nuts. I'm just itching. I'm getting all berserk. It's ridiculous. It's rainouts. We got damn snow in Colorado. Granted, it's Colorado. It shouldn't be all that much of a surprise. But still, nothing has kind of rhythmed and gone into play yet for the Mets. So this is hopefully the first week that we see that happen and come to fruition, hoping that we get an entire series against the Cubs and then beyond. I really love the Mets' chances of them going forward here and actually making some good things happen. And really finding that rhythm around May, I do think is plausible. I think that makes a lot of sense here. I really do. But here, before we get into further about this Cubs series, because I do want to touch on a little bit more, I might even share my screen and just show you some numbers for the Cubs guys, so you know what to expect kind of thing. Again, though, thank you all to everyone chiming in, to my just under 100 Mets fans. I appreciate you guys so much. Please make sure to smash that like button, guys. We're just under 30 likes away from 100. So help us get to 100 likes. It really mean a lot by the end of the stream. And also make sure to smash that subscribe button as well. Help us get to 7K subs. And make sure to subscribe to Richie at Mets Media. If you're a Knicks fan at Knicks Media, because Knicks popping off 6 straight. I saw that stream with CK2K earlier. That was awesome. And same thing with Jets Media as well, because the Jets are on the up and up. Zach Wilson should hopefully be the future should they land him. A lot of things to be excited about with New York sports, guys.
I was live on my Knicks channel this morning, and I was live on my Jets channel, and now I'm live with you. So this is, I think, my first time ever having 3 different live streams on all 3 of my teams. So it feels good.
Yeah, exactly. It's so fun, dude.
Yeah, and really I tweeted out today my personal Twitter. I'm like, wow, feels good waking up being a Knicks and Mets fan. I never felt like this. This is the first time in my life that I can be proud to be a Mets and a Knicks fan at the same time. And this is also, I know not everyone are Knicks fans in here, but I know Mets fans would appreciate this. This is the first time ever that the New York Knicks have won 5 straight games and the New York Yankees have lost 5 straight games at the same time.
The best streak one could ask for, right?
Are you kidding me? And hey, say the Mets are on a streak. I don't care about that fluky Joey Lucchesi game. We won 6 in a row. I don't care. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, seriously though, you're 100% right. It's been awesome. Hopefully the Knicks continue it and make this run heading into playoffs, right? But here, I want to answer a question here from Al, because this is a great point. I did see this. Al says, hey, did you notice the crazy strike zone in the Rockies here? I did. And that's been the case all season long. The umps have been horrendous. Don't get me wrong. They're bad every year. That's not a surprise. Umpires are always an issue. But the strike zones have been such a joke this year. And every single series I've seen the Mets in, it's either the strike zone is so expanded, you're getting called strike, a full ball outside the strike zone where it doesn't even nick it, you're getting called a strike. But then they're so contradictive, because then the same thing will happen the next play, but then they'll call it. They won't call it. Or it will nick the corner. Or it will be a full-on strike and they call it a ball. They've been horrendous. This is causing more drama, more back and forth as to, will we begin, robot umpires? Is that actually going to be a thing? Like, I don't know, but it sucks. It really does suck, because yes, it's part of the flow of the game. I'm aware of that. It's important. It helps you try to fight adversity, but like, it's been so apparent this year that it's honestly just obnoxious and right in front of our faces. I don't know about you, Richie. We talked about that in the past, but man, the umpiring has just been dog. You know what? It has been horrendous, dude.
Referees everywhere. I mean, in basketball, it's been the same way with the Knicks all season. So I'm used to it. I don't understand the problem with these refs. Like, you got one job, but the strike zone, it's always been that way with baseball. I don't know, man. It's just unfortunate. Sometimes the calls go our way. When it doesn't go our way, we get really frustrated. And now that SNY has the strike zone computerized, so we could really tell if it's outside or not. And the amount of times Jeff McNeil, I always feel like it's him that's always getting the rough end of the stick. It's a ball outside, and they call it a strike. And he looks at him. He's like, "Are you kidding me? It's outside, bro." Like, hey, what are you going to do, man? It's part of sports. It's in every single sport. I feel like every athlete complains to the referee, whatever you want to call it. And it's part of the game. It's unfortunate that they can't get it together. But, man, something's got to change.
No, I agree. And hopefully sooner than later, right? Because it'll be detrimental to a lot of teams in the league this year if it doesn't really start changing until like over halfway through the season. A lot happens by then. If you get, especially for teams where if you start getting comfortable with expanded strike zones, right? Say that universally umps are just doing this everywhere. You get comfortable, and then halfway through they're like, bam, we're not doing it anymore. Or it's like the equivalent of having the DH and now not having the DH. You finally get that taste. You get in a rhythm of something, and then they just swipe it away from you because that's how they work. I'm not going to get on the tyrant. I know you guys don't want to see me rant about this because I'll go on forever and ever, but I want to expand here a little bit further on the Cubs series in particular, because the pitching I wanted to emphasize big time. So I'm going to share my screen real quick, guys. I'm going to take you over here. I'll take us to MLB.com because I want to break down their rotation in particular. Actually, should I do MLB.com or should I do Baseball Savant? They both already they've had plenty of good numbers. You know what? I'll just do MLB.com for now. That's fine. So bear with me, guys. I'm going to screen share here, and I'm going to show you guys what I'll be looking at. We're going to go check out the Cubs a little bit further because, yeah, the pitching's not good. And let's just see just how bad it is, shall we? So that's what we're going to be taking a look at here now. And again, though, Mets fans, thank you all so much to everyone chiming in. I appreciate it. Richie, who do the Knicks play tomorrow?
We got the Charlotte Hornets tomorrow, and then we got the Atlanta Hawks on Wednesday, back-to-back games. So two teams that are pivotal to beat because they are right neck and neck with both of those teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, that should be a big game for them for sure. Is Ball still out?
Yes, he's out indefinitely. Also, Gordon Hayward's out, but the Hornets have been playing well without them both. So it's going to be interesting. And then we got the Toronto Raptors on Saturday, a game that actually I will be at. So we got five games in a row at home, including yesterday's game. It was 6, but these are 5 crucial games. And then they go out west for 6 games against really tough teams. So these are really pivotal moments. Julius Randle just won Player of the Week.
Yeah, I know. I'm so hyped for Randall. He had a 40-plus point game and then a 30-plus point game.
He's had 30-plus points in 4 games straight. Absolutely done.
He got out of that little slump that he was in. That was natural when you're carrying a team all season long, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's okay. But here, I want to talk about the pitching in general, but I want to focus on Trevor Williams, one of the starting pitchers for the Chicago Cubs, because the Cubs currently rank dead last in the NL West here. Trevor Williams is part of their rotation. He has a 5-year right here on the season. And
but he's 2-1. Like, you have more wins than Jacob deGrom. That just got me so pissed.
Dude, trust me, we can't go down that rabbit hole. Well, we won't be able to come out of it. But Williams, 5-year right around the season. He has really right around a 4.5 average. He had a 6-year rate and then a 5-year rate the year prior. So yeah, he's a guy the Mets need to jump on. That is the series finale. His nickname's The Project. That's actually kind of funny.
He's going up against deGrom?
Yeah, he's still pitching like a project. We'll see how he does on Thursday.
This man gets a dub over deGrom.
I know. Again, we're not trying to jinx anything. Trust me, guys. I'm just giving you a little bit of a further look on who exactly we're going to be facing and who we should be keeping an eye out either for a good or a bad reason in the series starting tomorrow.
Wait, can you go to the up a little bit? I want to see their division standings. The Cubs are in last?
Yeah, they're dead last right now.
Wow, the Pirates are even better than them.
I know. The Pirates have some good young players, but again, it's early. So a lot can change. I doubt the Pirates will be better than the Cubs all season long. That there's no way.
Yeah, that's not going to last.
Unless the Cubs fully sell off, which they may, because they've tried extending Baez, Rizzo. None of that's happened. Bryant is inevitably going.
Is Rizzo
somewhere.
a free agent?
Rizzo, Bryant, and Baez are all supposed to be free agents at the end of the year.
Damn, that sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, look at us. We have Conforto, Stroman, Syndergaard, but not Lindor, all free agents. So I kind of
exactly, dude. Here, I just want to go through their rotation a little bit more here because I've seen it. Yeah, again, Arrieta's had a good start to the season. It's just so funny because it's like it seemed like his time was really reaching a close. Again, it's early. Don't get me wrong, but he looked good in spring and he's looking good to start the season here. Because the Phillies, he was not good the past year and a half, and he was dealing with injuries as well. And he got down. What was it? Was it his curveball? It was his curve that just has so much break now that the Phillies never saw it all during his stint there. I saw him pitch in Philly plenty. He actually pitched pretty well every time I saw him, unfortunately. But let's get on now to I'm gonna get here to the starting rotation. This thing will scroll down, so bear with me, guys. Let's get to the pitchers. So. I want to look at how Zach Davies is doing. The relievers, I kind of know what to expect there. But Zach Davies, let's see how
under batting. Oh, there you go.
Okay. So, Davies has a 10.32 ERA to start off the season. Not too hot. Davies originally drafted in the 26th round in 2011 by the Orioles. Like I said, he's what, 20? Is he 28?
Did I just see 13 earned runs?
Yes.
This season?
Here, I'll show you. Here, hold on. So, in 3 appearances thus far, he has given up 13 earned runs.
Oh, my God.
And at least one of those games was against the Pirates. That's the more bizarre thing. But yeah,
this is a little off topic. I can just look it up. I'm curious to see what David Peterson's ERA is.
Oh, I can pull it up right now. Huh.
I got it.
Okay. So Davies is a guy they definitely need to jump on for sure. And, everyone really. But you get onto the bullpen,
6-3-0.
Craig Kimbrell, how's he been doing? I know he has a couple saves on the year, but Kimbrell was horrendous last year. Okay, so Kimbrel is yet to give up a run and 3 saves in 7 innings. So Kimbrel might be looking like the Kimbrel of old this year. We'll see what happens. One of the most intimidating guys on the mound with his, double arm stance like this when he reaches forward. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what's his stats again? Can you go down?
3 saves, no earned runs yet.
7 innings, no runs. Wow.
11 Ks. So, yeah, he's had a good start to the season. And that's definitely helped them when they try to close out games at least. But I'm going to stop it there. I just want to share the screen a little bit, guys, to show you what's been happening with the Mets and exactly who they're matching up against. But again, though, guys, he's not always looking at the chat. You're right. I'm not always looking at the chat. That is 100% correct. And I'm not throwing out mods to everyone either, guys. So I apologize. I don't just give mods to everyone. Huge Mets fan. Awesome, Cindy. Thanks so much for chiming in, my friend. I appreciate that. And again, thanks so much to everyone being here. Hendricks messed up for David Ross. That was a bad idea to put them in the first inning to pitch. Yep. Yeah, I know. We got a Cubs fan here. And Daniel, how's it going, my friend? Yeah, it's going to be a big series for the Mets. But before we kind of wrap things up and get into Q&A time, when you look at the Mets now on paper, and you know what? I'll try to pull it up one more time here. But they have a lot of guys still batting below 200, right? So of the guys currently struggling, not named Francisco Lindor, who do you think is the most likely to break out now?
Jeff McNeil. Just because of all the hard hit balls he's been having. It's not like he's striking out. Like I said, he's not grounding out. He's not flying out. He's hitting the ball hard, and he's getting unlucky. The ball's not falling, and that's the unique part of baseball. Some things need to go your way at the plate. And I think Jeff McNeil is destined to break out. He's too good of a hitter. I mean, he has the best average in the league since he entered.
Yeah, he's had over 300 average. He's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, he's batted 300 plus every single season of his career. For him to be batting $150, that's not lasting. So McNeil's my pick.
Yeah, and Blacklist Outdoors, love you, buddy. Thanks so much for chiming in. I'm looking forward to what we'll be doing soon. If you guys don't remember, Blacklist Outdoors is the one who sent me that awesome Mets tumbler. I don't have it beside me currently, but awesome guy. And yes, you picked McNeil as well. I agree. I also do. I just can't believe the thought of this Mets rotation. Let's just take a minute to focus on that too, because look at them. They're thriving. I get it that they are 7 games that they haven't really played yet, but the rotation's on fire. Walker's pitching gems, DeGrom's pitching gems, Stroh's pitching gems. Pearson bounced back tremendously after not pitching a gem, and Lucchesi hasn't done much yet, but it really hasn't had to worry because the schedule's been so weird. They haven't needed that fifth starter much at all.
And it's not even like he's the guy we're going to be looking at to be the fifth starter. We have Carrasco coming back. We have Syndergaard coming back. That's what makes Lucchesi starts, and it doesn't really worry me.
Exactly. They're going to be loaded up big time. And what's up, Garden State Gardner and David, a loyal member here on the channel. Hope you're doing well, my friend. David, my brother's at the Nationals game tonight, so we'll see how the Nats do, right? I don't think he'll bring them good luck as a Mets fan, but I just threw that out there because I know David's a Nats fan. But yeah, the Mets have an awesome rotation right now. The relief has been good as well. I'd like to add that Aaron Loop looked fantastic when we saw him in Philly. Trevor Mays gained the innings and is continuing to eat that work. Gesellman did not give up a run. I think that deserves to get some credit.
3 outs.
3 outs. Seriously, Gesellman's that's huge for him. It may seem simple, only pitching an inning or so, but Gesellman is a guy on the outside looking in more often than not in this bullpen. He's fortunate because of injuries that sustained in spring, and Betances now injured. And also Trevor Hildenberger. Let's give a shout out to him, the lefty who was cut in the first round of cuts this spring for the Mets. The left-hander has been off to a great start. Didn't give up any runs or anything in one of the Colorado games. What was your thoughts on Hildenberger? Because I don't know. He very well could be a serviceable arm in the pen this year for the Mets, and a guy that no one was expecting initially other than what we saw in spring.
Yeah, I mean, seeing anybody come out there and putting up a 0 in an inning is always a positive because we know this bullpen is a huge X factor for the season. Unfortunately, the bullpen did not help us out earlier on in the year, but it seems like they're steadying in. I'm like what I'm seeing from Castro and Diaz in particular, and Mays settling down. So for him to come out there and put up a 0 in his first inning, just like Gesellman, it's promising. Loop is getting better. Barnes is the only guy that I just have no confidence in right now. Gazelman, I still not super confident. I want to see more than just one inning, but I think the star of the bullpen is Castro so far, and Diaz. I think he's perfect with saves because the 2 runs he did give up was the game I was at when the Mets were losing by 1, and he comes in the 9th and he gives up two runs. Obviously, you don't want to see that from Diaz, but ever since that moment, I don't think he's given up a run, so that's good to see.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fantastic to see. And look, Edwin Diaz, he's such a heart attack. He's Familia 2.0 in a lot of ways, but the potential's there. We know that. He's shown us plenty. It just hasn't been over an entire normal 162 season yet. This is the make or break year, I would say, for Edwin Diaz, and solidifying himself as the Mets go-to closer for the foreseeable future. He's still young. He's still in his 20s. There's still plenty of growth there. Can Edwin Diaz be the Edwin Diaz of old? Not necessarily, but he's the Edwin Diaz of now, and there's still a lot of potential there. He hits 101 plus. He has the high heat like DeGrom for sure. He can get you with the high fastball too. He has the killer slider. As long as that thing isn't belt high, it is so hard to go up against. So Diaz has been fantastic. Familia is the only guy that I'm naturally always concerned about. And it's funny because when we think of this Cubs series, back in, what was it? I think it was 2016. Was that the outing where Familia needed to continue the streak to have like the most saves in the Mets season or close to? And the Cubs, it was the 9th. Cubs have bases loaded, no outs, and Familia got out of the inning.
I remember that.
I had a heart attack. I was jumping in my living room, just going berserk. I was like, oh my God. Because it was such a big game for the Mets at the time, too, because of how the standings were. It was towards the end of the year. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was crucial. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see something like that in this series upcoming against Chicago, as long as they get the win in the end, right? But I've been so happy with what I've seen from a lot of guys in this lineup. And the relievers have settled in nicely after a shaky start to the year. And also shout out to my man, Blacklist Outdoors. Awesome, buddy. I can't wait to check it out and can't wait to get that started and shout out on the channel. So thank you so much, my friend. Really excited for that. You're too kind. Sugar Diaz indeed. My man Joe, what's up, buddy? You say first place and this offense hasn't even gone hot yet. Best rotation in baseball. Sandy, Cookie, Lugo, all coming. I know, dude. 100%, dude. And also shout out to you, Joe. You're a awesome member on the channel. Love you, buddy. But yeah, I'm just trying to think what this is going to be like. And we're going to talk about this plenty until it happens, probably every episode up until this point. But to reiterate, Carlos Carrasco and Thor, think about what they will bring to this rotation, and having Taijuan Walker very much so as your 5th starter after what we've seen from Walker already in just a couple outings.
And what do we do with Peterson? Like what?
He's literally on the outside looking in. That's the crazy thing.
Does he go into the long relief role?
He probably goes into a long relief like swingman role. That would be a situation. As long as he's willing, they'll throw him in the pen as long as he's willing. Because you have to be a little careful. You can't just throw starters in the pen like ever. Like you have to be, make sure that you're doing things properly. But like even Jordan Yamamoto, he's been killing in the alternate site. He pitched 6 innings yesterday. Only gave up 1 run, had a bunch of Ks. Like they have a lot of arms, like a lot more arms than I think we tend to realize at first, because these guys aren't with the club currently.
Yeah, and I don't want to, put this into the universe, but I don't think, it's I don't want to say it's unlikely, but we'll be lucky if all 6 pitchers are healthy at the same time. That's the luxury of having 6 starting pitchers. When Cookie and Noah Syndergaard comes back, is Walker, is Peterson, or Stroman, are all these guys still healthy? Because if one of them goes down, then we have the insurance where we're not, back to a 4-man rotation. We have 5 guys. So that's the good thing to having 6 men available to pitch. I don't think we're ever going to do a 6-man rotation because we need DeGrom out there every opportunity we can get. But it's going to be interesting, man. I just can't wait to see Syndergaard out there, man. Big Syndergaard guy, like almost every Mets fan is. I feel like the best is yet to come for him too, low key. Some pitchers, not every pitcher, but some pitchers perform their best after Tommy John surgery. I don't know why or how, but it's true. I don't know. And he's only 28. This is the year where the age kind of where, not really actually, because DeGrom's turning 33 and he started to become a GOAT when he was like 29, 30. So yeah, it's same around age. So you never know. Syndergaard, he was electric as a young guy when he got brought up in 2015. He was with us for 5 years. He was, inconsistent at times, but overall he was dominant. I'm curious to see what kind of Syndergaard we're going to get.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm curious too. And that'll be key. Someone just said re-sign Thor or Stroman. I hope you can re-sign both. I hope you're in a situation where you should sign both. I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, right now, if I had to pick, it would just be Stroman just because he's healthy and he's performing at another level right now. And we don't know what Thor is going to do yet. Like, we haven't seen him on the mound yet. So
exactly. And they're not going to make that decision anytime soon anyways. So,
like, I think the whole, re-sign, extend Conforto, extend Stroman. Extend Syndergaard, like all these moves, like we should be like, extend Stroman. Like, this man is on another level mentally. Like, I don't know if you guys understand, but any sport, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, it's all in the mind. And you're seeing it with Jake. Jake is to himself, so we don't see what's going on in Jake's mind. But
and also, before you expand, I just want to say this. Remember this too, that Stroh has had the past year plus to just be around Jake and to learn Jake's ways. When I saw him when I was in Philly for the couple games, I got to watch Stroh just watch Jake, watch Pearson, watch these guys in the bullpen, get all situated. But you can tell he's really feeding off them. He's asking questions constantly. Like, he's very observant, but he knows, like, he's so open about it. Like, he's like, I'm not going to hold back from asking, how do you go about this grip? How do you feel in this situation? Like, all these different things that a normal fellow teammate should be asking is exactly what he's doing. And I really think that's in part going to his success. I can't say that he would be having the same success right now if he was, say, with the Jays still and didn't have the kind of veterans around him like Jacob deGrom, who, luckily for him and for the Mets and for the entire baseball league, is the best pitcher in baseball. He's a good guy to kind of rub off around,
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And just to expand on that a little further, just like Stroman's always tweets, he's like, your mind is a weapon if you know how to use it properly. And he's such a inspiration for guys, anybody that wants to succeed in life, even if you're not playing sports. Like, Stroman is evolved his mind to another level, and you're seeing it on full display out there on the field. And it's just so awesome to watch. It really is. I like how he's so outgoing with his mentality and stuff, because he's trying to make people aware of, meditation and all these things that he's doing, and focusing on his body, focusing on his breath work, focusing on so many things that a lot of people in this world doesn't really prioritize. So I love how he's open about it, and that man needs to be locked up long term.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, he's doing everything to make us believe that right now for sure. And again, guys, thank you all so much to everyone chiming in. I hope you guys have been enjoying today's stream. We're going to start answering some questions here shortly, but make sure to smash that like and subscribe button again if you haven't, guys. Help us get to 100 likes. I'm not sure if we're there yet, but please make sure to smash those buttons. It means a lot. Help us get us to 7K subs here on WardyNYM. Help my man Richie at METS Media get a 1K. He's only like 100 away from 1K. Help him get there to 1K and start soaring on METS Media and his other channels. It really mean a lot. And David had a comment here. First of all, thank you so much for the donation, buddy. I appreciate that. I'm sure you want to be here versus watching the Nationals game right now. Can they extend Conforto, Stroman, and Thor? How much would that cost? Easily $300 million if we're talking multiple years. No doubt in my mind. I think Thor, should he come back and be healthy, I think Thor will be eyeing up a contract eerily similar to what Lance McCullers just got, which was under $100 million with the Astros over 5, but also the Wheeler contract. I think Thor is destined to basically get a Zach Wheeler contract should he be healthy and performing. Stroman is a wild card. I don't know what would be best fit term-wise for Stroh. He's definitely going to be pushing at least $20 million a year because he's making upwards of 20 this year already in the high teens. And Conforto can range anywhere from 170 to 200 million. So yeah, they'll be expensive. They'll be very expensive. What's your stance on that? However, Richie, how much do you think that they would all cost in a nutshell as of now, with the assumption that they would be going multiple years? So it wouldn't be like a 1-year contract, obviously.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, but not, it's such a weird conversation because we want Marcus Stroman to play at the level he's playing at for the rest of the year. But if he continues this, he's going to be costing a lot more money than we can expect. Bowers came off a Cy Young Award winning season. I don't expect Stroman to win the Cy Young, But say he does what he's doing now for the rest of the year consistently, and his ERA is a sub-3. He's going to be looking at, $25-30 million a year. That's a lot of money. Syndergaard is such a wild card. I can't even talk about his contract because we just don't know what he's going to be like after Tommy John's. And then Conforto, he has a lot of proving to do because his start to the year has been very concerning. He had a breakout series this past series against the Colorado Rockies. He had a 2-hit game and it hit yesterday, so it's good to see that. But if Conforto wants to make anything near $170, $200 million, he needs to really just start breaking out because you're not making that money without doing that. So I think out of those 3 players, the guy that's going to be costing the most is Stroman.
Yeah. Oof. I could see Stroh costing the most over the shortest term.
Yeah. I'm just saying like AVV, like average per year.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's fair.
If he keeps this up, like especially because he's still young, he's 28, like I'd extend him for 4 years, $100 million. Like, I don't know if that's realistic, but I'd do that. What do you want, more or less? That's
so
what
you're telling me you would extend him. So you'd want to give him like 25 per year.
Like, I feel like if he continues this and he's making like 16 million this year because he opted in, I think if you look around the league and you look at the best pitchers and look at their contracts, they're making a lot of money. Bauer just got $40 million. I don't think he's going to get that much. But how much does DeGrom make? Like 32 or something around that mark?
DeGrom makes over 30.
Yeah, so I think Stroman making 25 is going to be the answer. If he keeps this up. If he pitches the rest of the year and it's a sub-3 ERA, he's going to be demanding 25 million minimum, in my opinion.
Interesting. I mean, I could see him pushing 25. I guess I wouldn't be all that surprised by it. Honestly, he's a guy that I could definitely see whine, and deservingly so, whine the bag. Do I think the Mets can afford this all? I do. I really do, which is a great thing. I'm confident in this ownership group and them being able to handle the repercussions of going over, the not salary cap, but the luxury tax threshold and all that stuff. And with the new CBA coming in December, that'll definitely change how teams approach things with their extensions and just signing players in general. So yeah, I mean, look, do I love the idea of giving Stroh 25 a year? As of right now, no. But could I see that happening if he does have a borderline Cy Young caliber year? Yeah, I really could. And if that's the case, then by all means, you buy in now. It's no different. Bauer won the Cy Young last year in a shortened season, career 4 ERA. Stroh's always had better numbers in his career. If he has a Cy Young caliber year, or he doesn't win it, because hopefully he loses it to his man in Jacob deGrom. But if he's like caliber, then yeah, 25 is at least at that point. Yeah, I think that actually it's a tall task. I don't think he's going to get there with his performance, but I really, really hope he proves me wrong because he's been rolling through the first couple outings.
Yeah, man, I agree. It's going to be interesting to see the contract talks. Still got a long way to go before we can really get into these because I don't know if the Mets are going to get into contract negotiations during the season, unfortunately. But it's going to be interesting, man, because we got a lot of pending free agents, and there's a lot of good free agents coming up that we're going to want to give the bag to bring in.
No, I 100% agree with you. Here, I'm going to grab some more questions, though, for us to answer before we start to wrap things up here in today's stream. But again, guys, I really appreciate you all chiming in. You've been fantastic. So make sure to smash those buttons, guys. You have been awesome. Let's see here. Just read more of your comments. Thank you for the like count update. I appreciate that. I'm sure we're close to 100, which is always great. I appreciate that, guys. How many 5'9" pitchers have pitched really well in their 30s? I mean, granted, I don't really think the height factor should not be present here because it's not like Stroh is short but is a flamethrower. And then once he gets into his 30s, that stops. You're not getting flames with Stroh. You're getting a lot of technique. And, just like his, HDMH apparel, height doesn't measure heart. I think that'll stay true with him. I think once he probably gets to 33, he'll have a decent to significant dip in his career. But again, we'll see when the time comes. He's
And
only 28.
turning 33 and getting better and better, and he wants to pitch till he's 40, and we better lock him up till he's 40, and he's going to be in his own inner circle in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of things can happen from now until then. Bambino, however, huge fan listening for a second time here after subscription. Thanks so much, but I appreciate that. So happy to have you here. Again, happy to have all my Mets and baseball fans here. Well, best of luck in the series. Thanks so much, David. I appreciate that. My Nats are getting destroyed. I know. My brother's enjoying it right now, so we aren't ready yet for sure. Have a good night. Thanks so much. You too, David. I appreciate you. Thoughts on potential Edwin Diaz. Before we get to that, I want to answer one other question from Ryan because this one looks like a good one. Would you guys rather have Stroh at the risk of losing one of Dom, Pete, Nimmo, or McNeil? You go.
Yes, because all four of those guys, Dom, Pete, Nimmo, McNeil, have something in common, and they're at the plate. We need to prioritize pitching as much as we can. That's been the Mets' strong suit for a long time. As much as I love all four of those players, we need to do. I don't know. It's such a tough question, but we need to make sure this starting rotation is strong behind DeGrom because we don't want to be turned into the Yankees and have one ace and the rest of the pitching rotation is scrubs. So we have to make sure we keep a nice 1 through 5 rotation and extend Stroman at the risk of losing one of those four, even though I don't want to. It's I don't know. That's a really hard question.
Yeah, I know that's tough. But just off the top of my head, nothing against Stroh at all. But yeah, no. The only you have to get into details in with each of these guys, because it's tough. Because I really wouldn't. I honestly, unless you're thoroughly upgrading a position, but if you're getting rid of one of these guys because you're trying to keep Stroh, no way in hell I'm doing it. Because Pete has potential to really be the face of this franchise in a lot of ways, along with Lindor, Jake. Dom is still so fantastic, up and coming still, and he has a lot of value, and I would not want him to be lost because of Stroh. If I wanted to see him gone, it would be because of maybe no DH again next season, and you're really trying to prioritize more of a position in need. Nimmo, he's on fire. Nimmo, same thing. As long as he's solid defensively, I don't want him to go anywhere. And McNeil's fantastic. He hasn't been great to start off the season, but that'll show. The thing with Stroh, however, which could be the thing that in my mind factors in the most to him not being with the Mets long term, is the depth that they currently have in this rotation and the youngsters that they have. This guy, Matthew Allen's pretty good, and he's just about 2 years away from hitting the bigs. So that could very well factor into one of Carrasco, Stroh, Thor being here long term. Carrasco, not really, because Cookie has a couple years left, but the Stroh situation, I'm sure that's going to factor into an extent, and I'm confident with this rotation when healthy, with or without Stroh. So that's why I think I would be able to handle it. I hope the Mets aren't in a situation like that, but very creative question, Ryan. Those are things you have to weigh in because at the end of the day, the Mets will find themselves in situations where, yes, they have plenty of money, but they don't have more money than, it ends at some point, right? So you have to kind of bite the bullet at one point or another and the possibility of losing a guy. Hopefully that doesn't happen anytime soon, however, though. Hopefully they get creative and make it work. So my thoughts on a Diaz extension. Diaz still has a couple years of control, if my memory's not mistaken, Sam. So
how many years do you know?
I can tell you right now. While I do that, why don't you answer someone else's question? Because it'll just take me a minute.
Anybody going to the Mets Cubs game? I am unfortunately not. I do want to make some road trips. Wrigley Field is somewhere where I wanted to go. Sup, fellas? Do you think the Mets are facing the Red Sox? How do you think about the Mets versus the Red Sox, who are red hot? That's going to be a very fun series. It's a 2-game series, I'm pretty sure. That's going to be a big test. Hopefully we can split that or win 2 of those games. The Red Sox are in first place in the AL East, so that's going to be dope. Would you trade Familia or Betances to clear up some cap space? Definitely trade Betances. I mean, he's already on the IL, and he looked terrible in his first start or his first outing. But
yeah.
Did you get?
I agree with you. And Diaz he's a UFA in 2023, so he's got 2 more years of control. So we could think about extending him after this season. That's what I'll say about that. I would say after this season, this is a huge make or break year for Diaz in my mind and having a future with the Mets.
It's the same with Nimmo.
Yep. Yeah, and
we have to talk about extensions with him. Like, screw these extensions. Like, why can't everyone just be on the Mets
forever?
Like, what's going on
here? Why does there have to be these things in the way? It's a pain. It really is.
It is. It's going to be interesting what they do, but I got trust in the new men in charge. At least I hope.
I'm so high on Miguel Castro. He's so underrated. Oh, I know. Castro is very, very underrated. I've loved what I've seen from him thus far. I know he's given up a run or two, but he's been worked a lot early. So, I've really liked what I saw from him. Again, guy 6'7", throws 101 and has command on his off-speed pitches too. Sign me the hell up. Wardy, what are you hearing about Thor? I'm not hearing anything new. The latest that I've seen from Thor, I think, was from maybe 2 weeks ago, that everything was still up to par with him, that he's right on schedule with being ready off his 60-day in June, which makes plenty of sense. He's topped out at 97 on the fastball from the last report I've seen. Maybe I've missed something since then, but everything is perfectly in line for Thor to be back right in the beginning of summer. And if you're staying on the trend of injuries, we've seen positivity from Carlos Carrasco over the past couple weeks. He has an expectation of possibly being back in fairly early May, which would be awesome. That means maybe we're only 2 weeks away from Cookie making his rotation debut. Who knows? Probably pushing more 3, though, at least. And then Seth Lugo is predicted to be back in May as well, which is sooner than I expected. So that's big, too. Even if that's towards the end of May, Lugo is that main piece in the pen that the Mets desperately need. He's the guy to eat your innings. Castro and May have been kind of splitting the time doing that late. But, Richie, question for you. How important do you think Lugo is going to be to this bullpen success once he returns?
So important. He's the best bullpen guy we have. We're missing out on him big time. I feel like we would have won a couple games if he was healthy throughout the season. He's a starting pitcher in the bullpen. That's always how I looked at him. Even though I prefer him being in the pen because he's so important in there, I really think he is a starting pitcher on any other team that needs starting pitching depth. I think he's pivotal. I think he can go 2 innings. He's a perfect guy to bring in for the 7th and 8th inning. I'm comfortable with him pitching multiple innings, and he can come in with the long relief. He is so versatile. He can even close games. He's just very good. And I think the Mets are going to really improve vastly in the win column when he gets healthy, whenever that is.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Lugo's been a stud. The Puerto Rican, as I like to call him, because he's just a quarter Puerto Rican. He's awesome, though. I love Lugo. Has such a nasty 12-6 curveball, too. He has one of the high. Lugo's the spin rate before spin rate was fun. I don't know if you remember, but when Lugo first came in the league, he already had like the highest spin rate among relievers in all baseball. And now everyone's using substances and shit. And he's like, dude, I've been doing this like before it was even cool. Like literally, I don't even need the sticky stuff. He just does it. Lugo's a stud. I'm excited for him. And I really think he's going to help propel this bullpen and give that comfortability and take away that uneasiness that us Mets fans unfortunately have more often than not, even when you have a 6-run lead. If Jeurys Familia is coming in, if Betances is coming in, Gazelman, a lot of guys in the bullpen there's still question marks about. But the one question mark is not the case with Seth Lugo, and I really appreciate that about him. Are there any other questions that are standing out to you, however, Richie, in the comments? And guys, we'll probably roll. Richie, you want to go? We'll go to maybe we'll go to like, I'll say another 5 minutes, and then we'll close out the stream.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, guys, we'll be taking questions for another 5 minutes here in the chat. Hope you guys enjoyed today's stream. Please make sure to smash that like and subscribe button if you haven't. Right, make sure to subscribe not just to me if you're new and you're enjoying consistent Mets content. And again, guys, just an update. I will be streaming tomorrow's game starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time, 40 minutes early, but I like to get in early and get everyone riled up and start talking, getting us hyped for the game. I'll be giving my own play-by-play commentary and sharing my reaction throughout the chat throughout the entirety of the game tomorrow. I'll be doing the same on Wednesday and Thursday, and then we'll probably be doing some type of maybe another Mets talk on Friday at some point. So stay tuned for all that good stuff and anything possibly in between that's worthy of making a video. But make sure to subscribe here. Make sure to subscribe to Richie at Mets Media. Help him get a 1K subs if you haven't already. I don't know what you're doing, guys. I know that over 1,000 people chimed into this chat, so make sure to subscribe to Richie if you haven't, guys.
I appreciate that, man. Putting a lot of effort into this Mets channel. It's hard to balance all these YouTube channels with the Knicks and the Jets and the Kingdoms and all this stuff, but it's what I love to do, and I always appreciate you guys tuning into all my, content over there. I'm going to be posting a recap to every single game that I can. I'm going to be doing pregame live streams as well before some games, Q&A live streams. So, a lot of Mets content over there at Mets Media, and also when we're live with New York Mets Talk on Mets Media, because it's not always on Wardy's channel, we switch. Make sure you subscribe, because when I go live, you guys might miss out on one of our streams.
Exactly. But also, let's see here, more comments. Let's get some good ones, shall we? Remember when Cashman said no to Stroman? Yes. And what is Cash? Don't even get me started on the Yankees. It's so frustrating, because it's like, I love it as a Mets fan. I love to see the Yankees struggle. Don't get me wrong. But it's so funny, because their issues are right in front of their face every single year. What do they need? They need rotation depth. Garrett Cole is not going to win you a World Series single-handedly, okay? And Garrett Cole just got the L the other day. This guy, he's normal, all right? He's using spin rate. He's a fake. He's a fake. Him and Bauer, don't get me wrong, they're still phenomenal pitchers. I would take them any day of the week in my rotation, but they're not legit in the sense of it's not all genuine.
How many runs did he give up?
I think he only gave up. What did he give up? Two or three? He didn't give up a lot, but he still got the lot.
He got the L.
Yeah, because the Yankees suck right now. They can't hit for anything.
I know. Who would have thought they would be last in the AL?
I know. Let's enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah,
that is something that for sure will not last. But let's get on here. Also, odds on tomorrow's game played. I'd say it's pretty confident. I'll check the forecast now.
I checked the forecast earlier, and it looked good.
Yeah, I know we toyed with snow, rain, pizza flying from the sky. But tomorrow, it looks like it's not going to rain. So that's
we're good.
Wednesday, there's a slight chance, but tomorrow we're looking good.
We're looking good, man. I feel like it's going to be a nice sweep. No, I'm just kidding. But say we win the series, we're going to be 9-5. Say we win 2 out of 3 games, we're 9-5. I'll take that.
Yeah, no. Oh my God, hell yeah! If
we're back home against the Nationals,
that's a big series too. Especially Nats are getting whooped tonight. Nats have issues with the back half of the rotation, and they struggle because they don't have the depth that they once did. Their bullpen's a little iffy too.
And also say, like, hypothetically, this is not going to happen, guys. Don't worry. Even if we get swept by the Cubs, we're still 7-7.
It's not. Look, the Mets are going to get. The Mets are going to lose so many games this year that are going to drive us nuts. All right. Even in a scenario where the Mets win 90 games this year, let's not forget that they won that 90, but they lost all those other games. They're going to lose a lot of games this year. We have to know that. Okay, so it's okay if they get swept here or there, as long as it's not on a frequent basis. If it's every now and then, okay, we can live with that. But as long as the majority of their game the series wins, I don't even need them to sweep the series. I really don't.
Yeah.
As long as they get the rubber games, those
we
are
win 2 of the, whatever, 2 of the 3, or even if we lose 2 of the 3, we're going to be 8-6. So we're sitting in a good spot at 7-4.
No, absolutely, and I'm loving what I'm seeing from them. When the offense picks up, I'm really excited. But Ryan says here, well, as my boy, I love Drew Smith, so underrated. I'm going to get a real chance. Well, unfortunately, Drew Smith dealt with some inflammation, I believe, in his elbow right towards the end of spring, so they had to shut him down. But Smith will be back, and hopefully he'll be in the bullpen. My guess is maybe sometime late May, depending on how Barnes continues to produce. Guys like Familia, others. I could see Smith in fairly soon, within the next month and a half. We'll see. Mets aren't going to DFA Barnes anytime soon. I doubt that, unless he really gets blown up again. So I think if Lugo, May, Loop, Diaz are solid along with the rotation, is that enough for a push for a World Series? It's enough for a World Series push, but it's not necessarily enough to get you over that hump. The Dodgers are always going to be in the way right now. Breaks my heart. The Padres are pretty damn good too. The Braves, really good. But at the same time, I like the Mets from a depth perspective over the Braves. It's going to be a crazy year. We know this. We haven't even started yet. I know this season already started, but it really kind of feels like it hasn't to an extent. I don't know about you, Richie. We already went to the games, but like it's just different because you don't got the momentum. It's not like the fans are fully back in the stands either. Once we get at like 50% capacity, they're rocking even louder. Once everyone's clicking, summer evening games are what I'm so pumped for. That is when I really feel we're going to be like, okay, game's on.
I'm
Like,
literally gonna be living at Citi Field this summer. Like, it's gonna be bad. Like, I gotta start saving money because I'm already spending a lot of money on tickets.
oh, I know. Yeah, I got nothing right now. I'm just waiting for that YouTube payday. That's what gets me through. Wardy, did you see what Odorizzi said about the Mets? I did. Jake Odorizzi said with Trevor May in a recent podcast through John Boy Media because Chris Rose, who was the longtime co-host of a baseball show on MLB Network, he's no longer with them. He is now the host of a weekly segment that he does with multiple MLB players. And this time it was May and Jake Odorizzi. And Odorizzi said how he thought he was going to the Mets. But then when the new regime came in, they basically had zero interest in him. Like they basically completely cut him off. So when it was still Brody and Van Wagenen, they were going to bring in Odorizzi. But before that, but once Brody was gone and Sandy came in, they're like, yeah, we're not interested. Interesting. A little awkward conversation, I must say. Who I think pitches in DC? A little early to say, Brendan. I'd say come back to me once we get a better idea, honestly. I really haven't looked down the road yet to see what the matchups are going to be in DC just yet. Will the Mets win 2 out of 3? Hopefully. Be a shame if we trade for a starter third baseman, Josh Hader, to put us even with the Dodgers. Yes, it would be a shame indeed, Joe. You know, it would be a shame indeed. But with saying that, guys, I think that's going to conclude today's live stream because we hit the 140 mark. So again, thank you all so much to everyone that chimed in. I really, really appreciate you guys. If you haven't already, please make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. Thank you all so much for 100 likes and for the continued support. Make sure to subscribe to Richie at Mets Media and stay tuned again, guys. Tomorrow we will be streaming on the channel starting 7 p.m. Eastern time for the Mets and Cubs series. I'm pumped. Are you pumped, Richie? That's going to be a great series, hopefully.
It's going to be an amazing series. I'm going to set up both of my TV and my monitor. I'll be watching the Knicks and the Mets tomorrow and Wednesday at the same time. It's really hard to do that, to be honest, to focus on both games.
I'll be having the Knicks game on my monitor, probably the Rangers game on my TV, and the Mets game on my computer.
Maybe. While live. Good luck. Exactly. But hey, man, let's go Knicks. Let's go Mets. Let's go Rangers for you. And yeah, man, it's a good time to be a New York sports fan if you're not a Yankees fan.
Exactly. And I think we couldn't have asked for anything more. So thank you all so much, guys. I appreciate it. And of course, let's go Mets, baby.
Let's go Mets. You got to believe, baby.